Welcome to Hobby Clubhouse with a review of the Bandai high-grade Cosmic Era 1144 Lightning Buster Gundam, hot on the heels of the very well-received Dual Blitz Gundam. But to spoil the review a little bit, this kit has some fatal problems that you really need to know before you decide to buy one. The HGCE Lightning Buster Gundam was released on September 21st, 2024 and sold for 2,600 yen, making one of the cheaper kits in the Seed Freedom line, undercut only by the Rising Freedom and the Immortal Justice at 2,400 yen and the Murasame Kai at 2,500 yen before taxes. The box is illustrated by Naochika Morishita, who Bandai entrusts with the newest core HG kit releases, so naturally we see his work here with the Seed Freedom line. The box measures 30 by 9 by 7.5 centimeters, so we see that standard price point matched with a very standard box. The short side of the box tells us that this is the 253rd release in the high grade line and everything else is repeated from the front of the box. The other side is exactly the same. The long side of the box boasts about the Seed action system and the many different configurations of the guns on the Lightning Buster. The other side tells us that this unpainted kit looks really nice, and then there's all the legal text. Inside the box, we get the Lightning Buster spread across 8 runners, and there is no multicolored runner this time. Now this isn't a cost-cutting measure, but rather it's a logistics thing, because, as you surely know, this kit is very much laid out for a future Buster Gundam release. The red parts here can all be gated off right here, and then there's space on the other side to expand the runner over there. This entire half of the green runner can be gated off, and actually the entire shoulder has to be replaced because the regular Buster won't have these rails on top and they will have missile containers instead. The new cannons for the Lightning Buster Gundam can be gated off entirely, of course. So, because Bandai needed to reserve the sides of the runners to expand the parts into a new Buster Gundam kit, they had to keep the runners separate instead of having a multicolored runner. And here's a look at the clear green runner, which is UV reactive, but you'll also notice that they're in a slightly bizarre Mountain Dew green, and fortunately, they actually do make a lot of sense when you see them on the finished kit. We get a very small sheet of foil stickers with this one here for the eyes, then this one here for the front-facing camera behind the grille, and then this one here for the back of the head. Then we get these orange ones that wrap around the cheeks of the Lightning Buster. These two go onto the front of the crotch, one for each circle detail. Then these go onto the beam guns on the sides of the hip, one for each side. Then these go onto the large cannons, again one for each. For the instructions, the front here has some information on the salvage Buster that was retrofitted into the Lightning Buster. The back of the instructions gives us the name of the weapons, and then it's mostly what we've already seen on the outside of the box. The rest of the printed side is all for assembly instructions. The black and white side is also for assembly instructions, with the bit at the end telling you how to connect this to the Meteor system, which unfortunately I can't show you because I don't have that, but you know, someday maybe. 90 minutes later, we have this. Just like the Black Knight Squad and the Dual Blitz Gundam that all use these GAT frame parts, this kit can be more or less put together with just its joints. Now this isn't as crazy of a thing as you might think, because most of these are joints that you already see on any HG kit like the elbows and the knees, but they're actually just all extended to link up with one another. There are some extra joints here, but let's address one problem first with the waist for the Lightning Buster. The ball joint here is way too tight and the grip is so strong that you might rip the thing right off the peg if you try to twist it by force. And we're gonna fix it, but we'll see later that this might not really be anything that you need to do in the end. But anyway, to fix this or any similar problem, we need this. Yes, a simple pencil is actually a very useful tool to smooth out joints that are too tight, and the process isn't invasive. So all you do is you color the surface that you need to fix, and then you stick it right back in. See? The joint can turn smoothly without being too slippery. You can reverse this anytime you like by just wiping the pencil off, so this is a reversible mod if you don't like the results. Okay, back to the frame itself. This hip that we fixed does have more joints than the common HG, with the bottom section here moving, of course. Then the gray part above pivots along a single axis. And then further up we get one more dip forward to give us a super ab crunch. Now with all the armor on, you're barely gonna get any of this bend, but theoretically it does exist if that kind of thing excites you. The entire shoulder joint can swing outwards like this, where the shoulder itself can pivot on its own peg, and this is something I'm sure will be appreciated when the vanilla Buster comes out. All this can be achieved by just these two pieces here, and it's really hard to describe just how elegant this engineering is. It adds so much articulation without adding too many parts or making this construction too flimsy. Another example of this is the dropping leg joints, which slides down from the waist, and each side is independent of each other. The designers at Bandai balance the parts number and the complexity very well here to prevent what they call build fatigue. A good kit should match the expectations of the person building it, and someone building an HG kit will be expecting something very different from someone building a master grade, and this kit is very appropriate for a high grade kit. And remember that this is a budget kit, so the work of the engineers added a lot of value for us. Now, I don't think this is any indication that all HG kits will suddenly start having inner frames from this point forward, and I also don't think this will be a very important part to anyone's buying decisions, as opposed to if you're choosing an RG kit and you're looking at that frame. But to go back to what I said just before, this is appreciated because it is something that the engineers put into the kit without extra money from us or extra hassle, and that's great. The outer armor on, this whole kit will take you about 2 hours to put together start to finish. There are some really big gates on some of the pieces, like the ones on the knee pieces here, and the one here on the shoulder, so if you're only using side cutters and no knives, they may leave some very nasty craters. The V-fin has some really thick safety flags on the tips as well that you'll want to remove, like I did here on this side, which also calls for a knife and some sanding tools. Gates aside, what we have here is an almost entirely seamless kit. Now, some notable seams include this one here on the backpack, and the one on the head here, which splits it between front and back. And these are nothing you'll really notice even without any extra work, so this kit gets a pass. Let's go back to the Mountain Dew colored clear parts now, which are behind this red grille. They may look a sickly cabbage green, but that's actually a good choice to set it apart from the dark olive green on the Buster, so we get this extra bit of highlighting color which makes the kit visually richer. Here's what it looks like under UV light when it's installed, and there's just 4 of them, so it's not super flashy or anything, but it is nice to have. We do have to bellyache a bit about the solid color eyes here, which are really rare for modern high grade kits. The lime green parts are only going to be for the Lightning Buster, so for logistical reasons, the eyes are molded with dark olive parts, and you'll probably want to either use the stickers or paint these with Gundam markers yourself. For the rest of the colors on the MS, you already knew from the stickers, but this needs no color corrections with the exception of the cheeks here. The original HG Buster was actually already done very well in this regard, so this kit actually had to live up to that, and it's more or less on par. Worth a mention are these 2 sensors at the front of the hip, which look a little bit lame because they're just 2 pegs with flat tops like this. Someone online posted a really clever fix for this by cutting the round tips of the clear green runner and fitting them onto them here, which might be something you'd want to do. For the weapons, let's start with the beam guns on the hip, and here we meet with this kit's biggest and most fatal flaw. On my kit here, you can see this part here with the handle is bent and nearly torn off. But turns out this is because the backpack actually runs up right against the handles, so if you turn the hip at all, you're gonna knock against the handles and you're gonna rip them right off the piece like this right here. It's quite a serious problem, and you must not, under any circumstance, twist the waist when the beam guns are stowed like this, and that's just not good. I fixed mine by gluing the handle piece to this main piece here, using the contact surface to anchor it back in place. This works fine, and it is strong enough for you to use the guns like normal, but it's still very disappointing that this is something a lot of people might need to do. As for the guns themselves, they swing forward like this, and you pull off the barrels here, which are in their storage mode, and you replace them with the deployed ones, which are separate pieces, and you slide them in like this. The hands don't actually grip onto the handles tightly, which is a good thing because it's less likely to accidentally break them off when you post them. This is fixed onto the hips, so you don't actually need the hands to hold them. The excellent articulation means that the arms can grip onto the guns just fine, and sure, it looks a little bit silly to grip these dinky little guns like this, but at least it's easy to do it. You do get a tiny little bit of adjustment, so if you sway them to one side like this, they don't always have to point forward. Oh, and when you deploy the guns like this and you hold it with the arms, the waist is locked in place even though the handles are no longer in the way. What the hell? Next up for weapons, the Lightning Buster gets this pair of new gigantic cannons. Okay, now once again, these weapons have a structural flaw, which is with these offset arms here. When you move the cannons, this side of the arms flexes outwards from the force of the twist. The connector here to the cannon has these little stoppers which are supposed to limit how much you can turn the cannons, but in practice, they don't do anything to prevent the piece from flexing outwards like this. It's not trivial, because during my posing for this review, this ultimately happened where the piece got flexed so much that it got close to being broken off. So that's the second structural problem on this kit, sadly. To fix this, you'll need to superglue the spine of this side to anchor it down onto the other piece, and that'll provide enough mechanical strength needed for the cannon to function normally. Again, this is a necessary fix which shouldn't have come to us as necessary out of the box. The guns themselves extend at the front here like this, and then you swing it up and wedge it a little bit where it slides into place like this to make the full cannon. The inside of the barrel is rifled with straight grooves and it really looks quite nice. The full cannon is taller than the entire Lightning Buster, and these are what you most likely bought this kit for, so it's good that they are indeed very beefy and they really are quite exciting to handle. With the help of the offset arms, the cannon can rest onto the shoulders at the notch at the front here, and they don't lock on, so they just sit on top of each other. Alternatively, you can have the cannons lunge forward even further with this notch on the back, so it's up to you which position you like more. Because of the shoulders, the cannons are locked into one orientation and you can't pose them much like this. And since the waist can't turn, no really, even if not for the beam guns, this notch here still won't let you turn it. What the hell? You'll really notice how rigid this poor MS is in this setup. Much nicer to pose is to have the cannon slung underneath the arms like this, and they look very cool in this configuration. In this orientation, you can aim the guns in slightly different angles, and the Lightning Buster looks like it's in the middle of action much more. And this is a silhouette of the Buster that's much more familiar to us. Just like many Seed Freedom kits, we only get these two holding hands, and this kit could really have used some open hands to go with the cannons. But as it is out of the box, you're gonna have to be a little bit creative to position the hands so they don't look awkward. We do have one more weapon to look at here with these two covers on the back here that open up to reveal missile caches. So these have been moved from the Buster's shoulders onto the back here. And I do mean that literally, because you see these lovely covers here with the gray lining on the inside? These are literally the parts that you're gonna get for the shoulders of the regular Buster whenever that kit gets made. They've just been repurposed to this part here on this kit. So if we look at the kit like this right here, this is how much of the original Buster Gundam we already have from this kit, including these two white pieces here which I forgot to take off the shoulder for that shot. It's nearly the entire thing, so if you're watching this video from the future to decide if you want this or the original Buster Gundam, these parts here are what's exclusive to the Lightning Buster. And if these are what you need, then this is the kit to get, because otherwise, all this here is shared between the two kits and they're gonna be mostly the same thing. On to the articulation. The head arches way back thanks to the GAT frames' wonderful neck. It can dip forward this much, and you have to reach in between the shoulders, but the head does rotate a full circle. The shoulders swing out this much even with the gigantic armor on. They can rotate a full circle as long as you steer clear of the cannons. The arms swing outwards not quite 90 degrees. The peg at the top here lets the arms rotate a full circle. The double jointed elbows give us close to a full 180 degree fold. The hand can be adjusted on its ball joint as you'd expect. The waist dips forward only a little bit after all the outer armor is fitted on, and it doesn't really bend backwards at all. We already saw the abysmal waist rotations with the notch on the back here locking the waist even if the guns don't limit it, so the waist basically doesn't turn, which is pretty shocking. The front skirt flips up this much. The side skirts are actually on a ball joint, but they can't really practically move much at all due to how the Buster's is designed, and the back skirts doesn't move at all. The legs can kick to the side this much, and they kick forward this much, and backwards this much. They can rotate at the top of the thighs here. The knees can bend until the armor blocks it here like this. The ankle armor can be adjusted on its ball joint. The entire ankle can swing forward like this, and then it rotates side to side like this. And the feet actually can't swing backwards at all. So, in every way, this kit articulates like a modern kit should, except for the terribly handicapped waist. what's bad is that the joint is there, but the kit itself just trips over itself and gives us waist articulation like a classic kit. The GAT frame is nice, but on this kit, it really gets sour with that completely immobilized waist, and it's just really not good. For size comparisons, here's the lower end benchmark, the entry grade RX-78. And here's the upper end benchmark, the entry grade New Gundam. At 18.8 meters tall, it's exactly that little bit taller than the RX-78 at 18 meters even, and it's naturally shorter than the New Gundam, of course, so no surprises here. And let's break out the brand new Hobby Clubhouse scale ruler, and we can see that the Lightning Gundam is a slightly bit taller than it should be, but that's just kind of the way it is for modern kits, so I doubt anyone's surprised, but otherwise it's not that egregious. With all that said, here's a Hobby Clubhouse 3-point verdict on the HGCE Lightning Buster Gundam. Number 1, it's either a great kit or 80% of a great kit. The Buster Gundam is a superstar among the C generation of fans, so naturally, many fans have been eagerly awaiting this kit because it is our first look at a modernized Buster Gundam kit. Now, if you really like the Lightning Buster and all its modifications, then this kit is already enough to make you very happy for what it is. For what it is being the operant phrase here, because elephant in the room, there are a lot of you for which this isn't exactly what you're waiting for, and not quite yet. This is 80% of what you want. You want the OG Buster Gundam, and it's such a Bandai thing to come so close but just not seal the deal and give you what you want. Now, I don't think this will be another case of the Da Vinci Leopard, and I really do think they will make an OG Buster Gundam. So, if it is the OG Buster that you really want and you're holding out for, then at least I can tell you what's already here is pretty good and you have a lot to look forward to. I know it's kind of cruel to look at the Lightning Buster this way, but the honest word is, this kit is 80% the same as an OG Buster Gundam, and it draws its sales from people with fond memories of the Buster Gundam. Therefore, I think it's fair to say that unless you really like the Lightning Buster itself, then it's still only 80% of what you truly want. And number 2, this kit is fatally flawed. Not helping this kit at all are those fatal flaws that we looked at earlier, which are exclusive to the Lightning Buster's editions. The beam guns are a new add-on, and they are in conflict with the backpack here, and the gun handles are so egregiously wrong that you can call this a broken design. The cannons' offset arms also aren't using old parts, so it really has no excuses to lean on for being so mechanically unsound. I mean, I'm left scratching my head as to why this kit came to us the way it is with all these obvious and very fatal flaws just out in the open. And they really are obvious, because it only took me one afternoon of testing this kit to encounter both of them. So there's going to be a lot of fans who are really let down by this kit. And to me, that really is a cardinal sin for a model kit sold as it is to the mass market. I mean, what the hell, Bandai? But number 3, this kit is fine for builders. The 2 points above are entirely irrelevant if you are a builder. The cannons look great, and I'm sure many people will want to adapt them to other builds. The MS itself is an exciting canvas for you to make your own offshoot of the Buster Gundam, and any builders who love the Buster Gundam will be excited beyond words to have this modern foundation to fill up with your own ideas and make it into something unique. I mean, heck, even the flaws might be exactly what excites you, and you just can't wait to jump in and fix all the holes that Bandai left out in the open. And what's more, it's not an expensive kit, and you can easily find uses for everything you get in the box, so you might not have much wastage. So the most solid endorsement I could give this kit is to get it for custom building. And let me know in the comments if that describes exactly why you're getting this kit. So that's a review of the HGCE Lightning Buster Gundam, a kit you'll have to carefully consider if it happens to be exactly what you want and whether its fatal issues are things you can confidently work around. It is a stand-in for the OG Buster Gundam, and maybe for you, this is a kit interesting enough to own as it is. Thank you so much for watching. Come look us up on social media with updates on upcoming videos and sneak peeks at future projects, links are in the description below. Or hang out some more with one of these other videos. But before you go, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to be notified of new videos from Hobby Clubhouse, and I'll see you next time.